Chapter 5, An Inside Peek. The parking structure was almost empty at this hour. There are 2 cars behind me as I'm to be escorted into beta productions. A passenger gets out from one of the guard vehicles and joins me in the elevator. He is fit and well dressed, clearly a professional as he keeps his sunglasses on while we were in the shadow. The floor for beta productions was locked out from the control panel and required a key to defeat the mechanism. Must be some high-profile stuff going on. Down the unusually empty corridors, I could hear the fluorescent bulbs humming their dirge. I can also hear this ping-pong plodding sort of sound, pacing ahead, weaving and wavering. I can see it, a blip on a radar screen of Cheryl and her clacking heels as she triangulates on my position. "Oh, Saul, we heard you were at the gate. This is wonderful. We were hoping you were feeling up to it. I think you'll be pleased with all the progress of the last day or 2. I can't say yet, of course, but come on, hurry." She nearly yanks my arm off. She's all jazzed up, which is both unusual and alarming. Office moms aren't typically the sort of people to get excited about new R&D developments. When we get to the door and she hurriedly slides her key card through the reader and enters her PIN, she then places her thumb on a scanner, then puts her eye up to an ocular reader and again gives a voice command. The door opens, just cracking slightly. She peels the heavy blast reinforced door open, crosses the threshold, and promptly slams it on me. There are loud locking sounds. Heavy clockwork armatures fall into place and latch with a loud click. There are strict protocols enforced at this facility, especially after hours. I go for my key card, but I can't find it. I forgot I broke it the other morning at the guard shack. I begin to beat on the door. Cheryl tries to talk through the door's intercom, but she's garbled from years of neglect. The latch opens and the heavy door cracks. "Where's your card?" "I broke it the other day coming in." "Oh, sugar," she says with exasperation, analyzing the situation. "They need you in here, but I'm breaching security. Well, I guess I'm fired either way." She lets me through. The next room is a locker room, a drab and sterile environment. You are to dress in a coverall jumpsuit with goggles, mask, earplugs, and gloves at the ready. I'm zipping up when a startling high-energy voice booms from behind me. Saul, you came in, bud. Very good. You don't need to suit up tonight. We have something special in mind. Come on, just wear your street clothes. We're ready for you." His speech is real quick. He must be excited. These eggheads, no offense, are really onto something here. Still in my street clothes and through the next set of steel doors was the lab floor. It's a wide room with bright blue-white lighting. There are automated robot arms in here working their repetitive routines. Power wires snake every which way from trays on the ceiling. And although I might know who some of them are in their attire at this distance, it's impossible for me to tell who is who. There is some light and sparing applause as I approach the group. Before I even know what I was getting into, Steven steps forward and begins a speech. "As many of you should know, we're in the business of observing and recording astrological events. We have a space-age method for doing this. Hell, sometimes I even forget all the ins and outs. It's just that space-aged. Keeping up isn't enough sometimes. Sometimes you must go beyond yourself and what you thought was the scope. Sometimes you have to reevaluate what you can do with your data set, which for us is the observable universe plus. Space-time's volume plus, and plus probabilistic modeling. Light speed plus. What if we found another plus?" He is talking dramatically slow. There must be investors in the room. Our best of the best at our prototyping labs had an idea, one that I understand to be the future of this whole endeavor. Virtual reality. He exclaims his idea, but no one here really seems to share quite his excitement. With all this recorded footage and observed alien life and the like, doesn't it seem like people would rather have an inside peek than to watch a blurry movie, to explore instead of watch? Through the pause of the rhetoric question, a voice chimes in. There are still theoretic sensor adjustments we can try in order to better calibrate our image quality. We could be at full focus within a few years. The engineer starts to elaborate. No one cares about that. Who cares about all that noise up there? What I'm proposing is a new market, a whole new industry. We don't even need to animate shows, as we already have so much real, uncopyrighted footage to work off of. We'd have an entire genre of programming that no audience could dismiss. We could jazz it up over time and give it new features. Think about it. Every year a new model to come out with newer light bulbs that use different voltages and different faceplates for the control panels with screw holes that don't line up to the earlier models. Stephen can't stop licking his lips. Proprietary parts and pieces are where we'll make our fortune. Don't you get that? A TV needs a remote. A car needs a wheel. The mob of white-clad people pool in the clusters. Presumably investors, engineers, and programmers. I'm wearing a relaxing timbre of teal, a V-neck with a chest pocket. I managed not to stick out too much in spite of it. The investors, though, could just sense that I'm not one of their kind, with their small black eyes that blow up at the curve of their spectacles glass, usually a trifocal with a special magnification for small print. They huddle together, making a wall that keeps me from listening or looking in. The engineers are looking over their schematics, trying to figure out why they need proprietary parts. Their design was sound, why change it? Unable to find a reasonable explanation, they instead started to draw in redundant features as to ensure a variety of ways of achieving the same goal, no matter which aesthetic and ergonomic shape some guy behind a computer screen decides to make it. The programmers are people I know. I even recognize them in their jumpsuits. It doesn't hurt that there are only two of them here, too. I walk into their conversation about hiding video game emulators within the programming of the machine. But it'd suck! The problem with emulation is always the controller. Ever play a console title on PC? It sucks! Eric is getting heated. I hear ya, but the human mind is more adaptable than a keyboard, Julian rebuts, relying on emotional appeal without actually holding much of an actual opinion. The average keyboard has about 103 keys on it. Each key is reassignable. Sure, some are duplicates, but what person would be able to reassign their keys? If you had like a spider body, you wouldn't be able to cope with that. You just couldn't spider. Eric, unaware of where exactly his train of thought was heading, trails off thinking about this statement. Well, we don't have to worry about that, not until there's color. Julian is probably smiling under his mask as his crow's feet are deepening. He pats my back. You feeling up to it, Saul? Up to it? Up to what? No one's really saying what's going on here. All I know is that we're in the VR biz now, which, to my knowledge, looked like neon wire frames and lattices. Really archaic, Could they really map all of our stuff on film? Won't it be just some flimsy, cheap-looking construct? I think I'd rather just watch a movie with a large screen and a sharp focus. The industry standard for the last century and a half. I should talk to Stephen. The machine itself is large, maybe 15 cubic feet in area. Its frame is skeletal, and most of the wiring is exposed, with relays clacking open and closed. Cooling vacuum tubes drape from the ceiling, making the abomination look like a marionette. Coils of green 12-gauge wire are strewn about. The air around the machine is hot and loud from all the nearby whirring generators. Stephen stands with arms crossed, looking up towards a viewing screen over the machine. I approach, and as the words come out of my mouth, I am cut off by him. You see that screen, Robertson? That's our view screen, our peek into what's going on out there. In there, it doesn't really matter, does it? This is as close as I can get until this is all over with. But so help me God, as soon as possible, I will leave this screen behind. You know, I'm jealous of you. But more importantly, though, our work product depends on you. We have it all figured out. We've made it easy for you. All you have to do is think about the colors you'd want. We'll store that data too, and we can just plug it in later. Think about it. The farthest any man has ever traveled. Well, sort of. You know what I mean. I want to voice my concerns. What is supposed to happen once I go in? I'm supposed to get into that? Am I actually contractually obligated or even qualified? Worst of all, what if the machine actually works? What I managed to say is, what if I have a spider body? I'm shaky and nervous. I'm itchy. And not only am I using my hands to feverishly scratch myself, but also some metal grating behind me. Saul, we don't have time for this. You'll be fine. We've been waiting on you for a few hours. Cut us some slack and get in there. We're wasting biodiesel. How long will I be in there? An hour or so tops, in and out. What do you say, guy? Are you the man? I approach the precipice. There is a bed. Well, it's more of a man-shaped cookie cutter or some cold and nihilistic altar. There are blankets. Well, it's actually a viscous liquid, some sort of strange electric gel membrane that's cold to the touch. There is also a pillow, but again, it's more of a bear trap that snugs against your facial pressure points as you lay back into it. I look back at Stephen and he motions inward. I flip a leg up and lay on top of the gel, which starts to slowly envelop me. Before I was entirely wrapped, I noticed an exposed electrical panel. I break the bonding gel as I go to push the wires back into their back box. Within the skeleton, hundreds of tiny LEDs feverishly flash, and I hear some commotion behind me. As I lay back down, the yelling is getting louder. My eyes try to turn to the side, and I can barely see people trying to rush towards me. I lift my hand up, and there is a flash of light.